We're here with Andy Walton, a erstwhile Christians on the Left member. Andy, tell us a little about your journey into politics in the first place.
Gosh, well, I can't remember a time when I wasn't interested in politics, but that kind of linking up between politics and faith always seemed a little more tricky. Even though actually a lot of my political instincts came from my faith, I think, you can't read the Bible without kind of thinking about issues of justice and ordering of society and that kind of thing. But then gradually, as I kind of met more people who were involved, I thought maybe I could do this. Maybe this is something that I could step into. Eventually, kind of became a member of the Labour Party. Became a member of Christians on the Left around the same time, because I thought actually I'm not just doing this as a kind of optional extra little club that I'm interested in. Actually, this is part of my expression of my faith, and yeah, that's really how I got involved. Yeah.
Brilliant. And are there particular issues that led you to get involved, or was it in a more general sense?
Yeah, I think it's probably a more general sense, because actually you're never going to agree with everything that your party stands for. You're never going to agree with everything even other Christians stand for in politics, of course, and you're never going to sign up to the full programme. But it was a sense that actually there's two options really. You can kind of stand on the sidelines commentating, which I'm up for, and part of my job. I'm a journalist, so I do a fair amount of commentating. But actually, as well as that, there was the option of getting involved. And so when it came to getting involved, there's a whole number of issues which I was passionate about, that I thought actually you can only really do something about those by getting involved in the process. Yeah.
Give us an example of an issue that you've really dug into.
So I'm particularly passionate, for instance, about the living wage. It's a Christian idea. A lot of people don't realise it, but the first time that it was spoken about in the modern era was by the Pope in 1891. He came up with a thing that's basically what we now understand as the living wage. And people, I think, are quite surprised about that. They probably think it came from a political party or a trade union, and they've all got on board since. But actually, this was a Christian idea. This was basically saying we don't just believe that individuals are kind of units of production. They're not just little cogs in the economy. Actually, human beings are, as I heard the Archbishop of Canterbury say recently, the ultimate value. That's how God sees us. And so what that means is we have human dignity. We deserve, when we're doing a job, to be paid properly, so that we can put food on the table for the kids, so that we can have a decent life. And so that's an issue that I've really cared about for quite a long time, done a bit of campaigning on. And it was churches who put that on the agenda, not just in theory, but in practice here in the UK through the Living Wage campaign. So that's something that I've been really passionate about, and I know lots of other Christians on the Left members are too.
What has campaigning on that issue actually looked like then?
Well, there's kind of fun stuff. There's creative stuff. Politics doesn't have to be boring and dry, and it's not old white men in suits shouting at each other. I mean, it is that, but it's lots of other things apart from that as well. So, for instance, we've been involved in some quite creative kind of demonstrations that actually we need to honour that human dignity by paying a living wage. So I think about a kind of demonstration, an action as we'd call it, that we did down at the Tate Modern Gallery when they had the big crack in the floor. That was one of the installations, and we kind of joined hands across that. We had banners, and we were asking the Tate Modern to pay living wage, for instance. There are lots of companies that are now starting to do that because they've engaged creatively. They've realised that this isn't just a kind of someone wanting to bash them. That's not what we're about here. We're wanting the common good. So we actually look at the research that says paying a living wage is better for everyone. It's better for the company because productivity goes up, staff retention is better. And so the church has actually said to business, do this and it will benefit everyone. And sure enough, that's proved to be true.
Fantastic. I mean, you've been involved with the Future Candidates programme as part of Christians on the Left and the Labour Party. What have been the advantages of being involved in that?
You know what the best thing was about that? There was great training, there was kind of inspiring speakers, but way above all of that, it was meeting people. It was meeting people, as simple as that. So the problem is, I think, maybe for people watching this, who knows where you are? You might be the only person in your church who's into politics. You might be the only person in your local political party who's into faith. And so it can be quite lonely. Though I was never quite in that boat, I think the idea of meeting talented, resourceful, creative people who are in the same boat and think there is this kind of important way in which politics and faith can come together was really inspiring. And so I ended up going and doing some campaigning for people who ran for various offices and just supporting people in different ways. And they've done the same for me. And that kind of building those relationships has been really fantastic. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Wonderful. And we know some of those folks are now actually in elected office, whether mayors or MPs now, which is a fantastic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, again, I'd want to say that the ultimate value is building those relationships, and anything else is a kind of bonus. But we're in politics; we want to win, and we want to get good people into those positions because we know that the kind of level of responsibility, particularly in the current climate, the level of responsibility that our elected representatives are dealing with is incredibly high. And there are loads of good people there who aren't of faith, but what we want to say is that actually our Christian beliefs and our Christian values and our Christian practice is something that we think have a really positive influence in that arena. So yeah, there are people who've taken up that mantle and got elected, and I'm really excited about the next wave of people over the next few years. Yeah. Well,
talking of winning and talking of the current climate, I know you've written in your magazine articles about the current state of the Labour Party, which obviously is a regular talking point for many people. And during the last leadership election, you pointed out that there was an opportunity, a space, a bit of a vacuum, that there's a certain part of Labour's history that wasn't necessarily being represented. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think there's a bit of amnesia on behalf of Christians and on behalf of the Labour Party, and both groups tend to forget where the Labour Party came from. The story that the Labour Party often tells is of the trade unions and of kind of the different socialist groupings that came together to form the Labour Party. And on the other hand, the church, to a greater or lesser degree, has kind of forgotten and just presumed that it's always been a kind of secular party. What they've both neglected is this history of Christian socialism. So if you think about someone like Keir Hardie, who was the founder of the Labour Party, 100 years ago, the Labour Party was founded, and there's these great pictures of Keir Hardie standing by the lions in Trafalgar Square, addressing these massive crowds, and he recognised, well, it wasn't just that he recognised, he'd have found it downright bizarre if you told him that there was any conflict between his faith and his politics. And we look through history, people like R.H. Tawney, people like George Lansbury, who was this fantastic leader of the Labour Party, who rebuilt the party from nothing in the 1930s after a complete electoral disaster for the Labour Party. And these people saw no kind of problem between being committed Christians of different stripes, Anglicans, Methodists, Catholics, Evangelicals, and being active in the Labour Party and on the left of politics. And I think what the Labour Party needs to realise and what the church needs to realise is that that was there from the beginning, and we need to make sure it's a core component as we go forward into the rest of the 21st century.
Absolutely. And what sort of practical expressions do you think that would have? How would it make the Labour Party look different in 2017 if that were true?
Well, think about what I was just talking about the living wage, for instance. That's a Christian concept that's now gone much wider, and I think we could use that as a bit of a model. So again, the Keep Sunday Special campaign, something that we've really campaigned about, that honours human dignity and the importance of family, and has spread wider out into the Labour movement. It feels to me like we need to be the kind of the salt and light in the Labour Party, if you will, that says actually there's more to life than just economics. And so if we only make our arguments on an economic basis, we're probably going to lose to the Tories most of the time anyway, because, for good or ill, they claim this kind of trusted narrative. Now, many of us would disagree with that, but actually, we're never going to win a fight that's just about economics. What the Labour Party, and particularly the Christian influence in the Labour Party, can bring is these core principles of Christian social teaching, so human dignity, the fact that actually we're all made in the image of God and therefore need to be honoured, and we need systems that honour that. The fact that solidarity is a key virtue in Christian social teaching and in the Labour Party and the Labour movement is not a coincidence. So I think that's what we can bring. We can bring this whole fresh wave of ideas that are already there. We don't have to do lots of kind of like new policy thinking and set up loads of new think tanks. The thinking's there. we've got, since that first proclamation by the Pope in 1891 about Catholic social teaching, there has been an explosion in Catholic social thought, but also other streams of the church have chipped in on that. And what that has meant is that there is this rich resource that we can draw on, if we choose to, not just as Christians, because it's available to the whole of the Labour movement, to the whole of politics.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for chatting to us, Andy. Bless you.